As soon as I get here, I just start with reviewing my day. And so I'll go through my lesson plans and I'll double check to see, do I have all of the copies that I need done? Do I have all of the materials that need to be set up ahead of time? Right around like 7:55, I really just try to start mentally preparing myself. What do I want this student to be able to take away from this day? And once class is going, it's just kind of just this constant like move, move, move. What would Ms. Begay be thinking as a reader? Why do we have subtitles? The paragraphs are different. Very good. So if the paragraphs are different, what does that tell us? I should be thinking what?
You can't take a bunch of nomadic natives who are incredibly successful, rich in culture and past, and completely change their existence, give them a plot of land they're not used to being on. By the way, this land is in Washington. Different climate, don't you think?
I'm an Arizona native, so I was born and raised in Globe. My parents were 15 and 17 when they had me. I lived for the first couple years of my life with my grandparents, and then my parents were able to get into a small trailer. My high school education was, academically it was sound, but more importantly, I still talk to some of my high school teachers even after I graduated. I'm still connected to these people because they connected with me, and so that sort of foundational piece to why I became a teacher ultimately helps keep me grounded. Like, I know why I'm here. And I know that I'm a teacher, but I also know history. I'm here for the student. And then along the way, we're gonna get really proficient and learn the academic piece to it as well. There's a new student I got last week in my class. She didn't want to talk about it, but she doesn't have electricity. And so she didn't have a place to sleep at home. So it was on the floor in the cold. And so we figured out how we can support her. I made sure I talked to her that part of being successful in a classroom for a teacher is making sure that you understand that each individual student has needs.
Not finished. So what is this passage going to be about? Growing up on the Navajo Reservation, it's an isolated community for the most part. We don't have public libraries there. The books that I did get, my mom usually went out to find books for us. I think it helped me be the person that I am, because I don't think that I would have pushed myself as much if I didn't grow up on the reservation. But also on the reservation, I also got a lot of my cultural teachings. My grandma always tells me that you hang on to all of the important information for kids to have, and so you need to make sure that your brain is clear, and that when you're passing on the information that you're giving it in the best quality that you can. So let's go ahead and write that up there.
Good morning, Deisha. How are you? Good morning, Paige. How are you?
Good.
Hey, boys and girls, you're already too noisy, and we've talked about the chairs. Hang on. Guys, just be careful with the chairs.
I grew up in Tucson. Tucson is home for me, and I went to the University of Arizona, where I received a bachelor's in family studies and human development. I had thought that with my degree in family studies that I would go more of a social work route. A recruiter for an alternative teacher certification program came and spoke in one of my classes, and I decided that that was something that I wanted to try out. So that's how I ended up my first year teaching in Oklahoma City, teaching 7th grade pre-algebra. It was essentially thrown in with a few weeks of training. I didn't feel very prepared or equipped for the job, and it was probably the most challenging thing I've done. And so that's why I ended up leaving after the first year. I was committed to 2 years there. I decided that we needed teachers just as badly in my home in Arizona and in Tucson, and my support system is here, my family, my boyfriend, my sister who's also a teacher, and so it was really important to me, if I was going to be doing something this difficult, to have those people around me while I was doing it.
Did she say that she was sorry?
I was worried about fine motor skills. He doesn't seem to hold a pencil or cut things very efficiently. He's also not fully processing the information that he's getting.
I try to take about 10 minutes, beginning of the hour, to quickly eat. I just have found that if I try to eat when students are around, I end up not eating.
I love teaching here because I feel like the need is so high. I feel the impact immediately. A lot of times when I put out this supply list at the beginning of the year, I have to kind of come in with a very realistic thought of how many of my students might actually not come in with anything at all. I usually buy all of the items on the school list in multiples so that I could put forth for any of the students who don't have it. And anytime I can get my hand on books, I'll go ahead and buy books because kids always take them home. And I never want them to feel like they should be ashamed about stealing books from my library because I want them to be able to have a book that they love. I had to tell my husband the other day, Scholastic was running this really cool deal on I survived American Revolution and we're learning about the American Revolution right now. How cool would it be for the kids to get this book? I actually just bought it and then told him. But he's like, yeah, sure, that'll be a great idea. I couldn't pass it up. It's such a great deal. I would definitely say that it's more than a 40-hour job. I would say it's roughly around 60 hours doing actual teachery things, lesson planning, teaching, things like that. But on top of that, you also have just a constant brain work that goes behind it. There's not a time where you ask me and I'm just sitting there and you're asking me, what are you thinking about? It's always about what is the problem in my classroom? What's the problem with these lessons? And so that is 24/7. I can't quantify that in number because I feel like I'm just a teacher all the time.
So we are going to start with this article called "The Problem with Plastic." So I need you to open up to this page with the blue. Liam, put the book away.
I came on to Tucson Country Day as a 5th grade teacher with a team of 2 other teachers, and I thought that this would be the most supportive role to be trying out being a classroom teacher in elementary school. And so I liked the idea of having a support of a team. That was the appeal. And it has been really challenging. I'm pretty fortunate in this school and to have a smaller class size, but even with my 21 students in here, it's a lot to handle and take care of. I have a lot of students with really high needs, high emotional needs and physical needs. They're always moving, always having a lot of energy.
Go outside and count to 30.
I said bless you!
Go outside and count to 30.
They're at all different levels academically. I have students that are operating at more of a 1st grade math level as a 5th grader, and I have students that are reading at a 1st grade reading level, and then I have students that are working at maybe a middle school or 8th grade math and reading level. And so it's a lot as one person to try to be individualizing as much as possible and meeting my students where they're at. It's really tiring and taxing. It's hard to be the best teacher that I can be.
The drowning of the first year or the second year, the third year can just break a teacher. And so part of my story now is I've had 5 or 6 student teachers. I work every summer with new teachers who get hired in the district. I mentor 2nd and 3rd year teachers here to give back what I've experienced and what I know. Not just you should have an objective and a set, you should have active participation or closure, you should have these essential elements. But part of it is, can we just talk? How you feeling today? Because today's over and tomorrow will be a new day, and it's okay to be sad right now, and it's okay to be sad tomorrow too, but you gotta saddle up, and I'm here to help if need be.
It's easy to feel lost in the moment, to feel kind of isolated, to be one adult in the room with so many kids, and we have someone's yelling at someone and another student is storming out of the room because they're upset, and those sorts of moments, it's really easy to just feel like out of control. And so I have had some training with classroom management. That was part of my alternative teaching program. Was like maybe a couple-day crash course. It's definitely not easy and would be helpful to have guidance and in that role of a mentor or someone to give real tools to be using.
Eyes on me in 5, 4, pencils down in 3, 2, 1, and 0. Okay, so it wants to know what? This goes back to that first box, right? What are we trying to find?
Total.
What are we trying to find?
How many cookies did they bake?
How many cookies did they bake? Okay. What are the 4 operations we use? Just shout them out. Operations.
40.
40. Okay, one of them is
36. Plus addition, subtraction.
One of the things that really stood out to me that was a complete difference from the first time that I observed the second time was that you do more whole group management than you did before. You know, like the countdown, 3, 2, 1, 0. You also did the whole group recall, you know, pulling them forward. So what are you noticing when you're managing whole group now?
I feel like it's a lot easier just because like they know what I expect. I feel like.
So those are some things that really stood out. Like, wow, you know, look at this complete change in your instruction and the way that you're managing students. And I could see like through the lesson that you weren't losing students, because before you would lose like the students every once in a while, you know.
Yeah,
so,
I'm much more aware of when I'm losing kids.
So this one is later on in the lesson. This is after the why. Here are the operations.
And it was on accident.
It was on accident.
Yeah.
That's important.
I chose the one that I thought told the story.
Economically, teaching is really challenging when you have a family. With retirement, Social Security, and unemployment, my paycheck doesn't break 1,000, right? And that's every 2 weeks. I'm not far off from where I first started, and I've been teaching for 11 years. I collect stipends as part of my thing. I love helping the school, so I do NHS, but that's a little extra cash for me, right? I train teachers, a little extra cash for me. I mentor teachers, a little extra cash for me. I have a second job. I teach during the day, and then this Saturday I'll work to 9, 10 o'clock in an ice cream shop, and next Friday I'll work to 11:30, probably 12, and close the ice cream shop down. Every year, my wife and I talk about, are we gonna apply somewhere else? Part of that's pay, right? A part of that is can you get up every morning and show up and challenge students and have them challenge you? I don't get paid enough for the work that I do, and that's not about me being greedy. It's about me not feeling respected. It's about me going through 11 years and being really good at my job. I feel like I'm good at my job, and to not feel like I'm given the professionalism and the courtesies and raises and all the things that come with that is really discouraging.
Why did you let me do that? It's time!
We all jump up with the 1, 2, 3. All done. Good night. Are you excited about doing this?
I am. I don't take you serious still. Because usually it's my idea, and this wasn't my idea, so I'm very skeptical. But I think maybe because it's your idea, it might actually have it.
And we're leaning towards applying to Olympia, Washington School District. This is part of the story of teaching what is gonna come next.
The number doesn't work. This is Mrs. Big A calling. I was just calling to touch base with you about something that occurred. I am going to send you a parent-teacher conference form so that I can go through some of his work and things just to let you know where we're at. He's usually not unfocused as he is right now. He's just really kind of off. Is that how he is at home right now? Feeling good? Okay. Ms. Begay is going to take a deep breath because I'm a little nervous. All right. Today you will be taking the math test, a portion of Arizona's statewide achievement assessment, AZ Merit. Talking in the test is not allowed, and you may not discuss the questions or your answers after the test. Keep your eyes on your own computer. There are times that I just have nothing left in me. I just kind of I can't give anymore. There's no more I can give. And recently my husband had said, I know that you're really stressed out, and I really do think that I should take some time off of work and really focus on being at home and just be the stay-at-home dad, which is his dream job, just to stay at home with his kiddos, with our youngest one. And I had said, well, can we financially survive off of a teacher's salary? And there's no way we can financially survive off of our teacher's salary. I always make a joke to anybody. I say, well, if you're going to be a teacher, you need to marry an engineer so that you can just use your teacher money to pay for things that you need in the classroom and then live off the engineer's salary.
And now the cover letter.
2 different schools on Thursday, 2 different schools, an apartment on Friday, apartment on Saturday, right? And we just need to dress up for school meetings.
Should I take my Abraham Lincoln shirt?
Yeah.
Should
I
I
think
wear,
you
should
should
I
wear
wear
that on
that
Thursday.
on Thursday? Yes. It's gonna be wet outside. I'm not used to wet. I mean, these tennis shoes are gonna get wet, soaked through, aren't they? Do I need to wear boots? I don't know what water is. I've been around water like 3 times in my life. He's gonna get us moving, baby. I love flowing wells. And I didn't expect this, but to walk into a school almost felt like a betrayal of sorts. It felt strange. Like I was taking some time to meet with like the other woman. and that was really hard for me. Ideally, I get to teach here in Tucson at Flowing Wells High School for the rest of my career, but it's just too challenging right now with some other factors from Olympia that would make it would be too challenging to stay. We figured the numbers. It would be about a 20% increase in pay.
You are doing great. This is not a reason to give up right now.
Oh wait.
There you go. So, in this case, 14 is my
Bigger number.
It is bigger, but is it X or Y?
X.
It is X.
My students are what keeps me coming back. You know, making a difference with them is everything. It would be so easy to leave and make more money, probably be happier, have a better home and work-life balance.
Something else is distracting you.
But I care so much about the kids that I work with, and
Those are big things.
I care a lot about changing our education system and making it to better serve our students, because right now it doesn't feel very effective. The job of a teacher is not sustainable. And so I think my passion for fighting for teachers and making those changes is kind of what's kept me around. We need to find as many ways as we can to fix what has become a very broken system. A big part of that is, well, we don't have enough staff. We don't have enough support, and you know, it takes money to have those things. There's a really powerful chart that shows like where our state funding was in 2008 before the market crash, and now that our market has recovered, that funding never came back. And so that's a lot of money that we used to put into education that isn't there now 10 years later. And I think that really shows where our values are, and we need to change that. We need to place a lot more value in education, because the future of our state is here right now in these classrooms.
Don't forget to dress nice tomorrow.
Wait, we have to wear a uniform?
No. Dress nice.
I'll look like when does the concert start?
8:45.
During my last Jedi Council, I usually like to focus on me being able to verbally tell you what you've meant to me. Sean, the way that you help others is so important, but also you just make me laugh. So when you make Miss Begay laugh, it always makes me remember you. So thank you so much, Sean, for bringing your humor and just your intelligence into the classroom. Amy, there are some kids that you see and you know this person is going to be amazing person, is going to be very powerful. They're going to be very kind to people. I know that you're going to make a big difference in the world. So thank you for being in our class.
Thank you for being my best teacher yet. You have taught me all sorts of things. You may have gotten disappointed in me, but you still love me and I love you, and you have been there for me. You're the best.
What digits are in base 8? Okay, there are two right answers, right?
Thank you, my dear.
Friday, August 3rd, 2018. For lunch today, we will be having chilitos.
Miss Begay gives you one very special pencil every month. Okay? And it's the beginning of the month, August 3rd, and you get a pencil.
I want to be making change in education, and I think staying in a classroom role, I don't see myself being able to do that as long term. I think I would burn out in a very short time. And so I think going into that support role, I'll be able to kind of keep my passion for education and making a change, but be able to help support other teachers. I'm definitely want to stay in education for the long haul and keep fighting this fight.
Yeah, colors for them.
Okay, yeah.
When the Red for Ed movement happened, a fire got lit. I mean, a big fire got lit in a lot of people, but in me personally, like, I felt guilty that we were even thinking about, like, moving. I felt like we were turning our back on, like, our community here, and turning our back on the chance that, like, we could be a part of something, which is probably part of what really inspired me to go back into the classroom. Like, the idea that
Like, it is empowering to be an educator. It is empowering that all these people supported us. And so, honestly, if Red for Ed hadn't happened, we probably would have moved.
We began to realize that there's something that we have here that's sort of special and different, and we were having a hard time figuring out why we would leave that. You know, it's important that we feel as though we're compensated appropriately, but ultimately when it came down to it, there was many more factors at play that the sum of those parts were greater than just getting a raise. And so we're taking a leap of faith, and we're putting a lot of hope in the fact that Arizona will properly support public education. And that could be a raise, it could be that students can go back on field trips now, any number of things. We're open to however that looks. We're both really hopeful, and we want to give Arizona a chance.